Hey friend, Paige here with the next episode of Paige's Tabloid. Today I wanted to come talk to you guys about how I found my artist voice and the things that I did to get there. I mentioned last week that I was mainly crafting, and crafting is a lot of you just follow patterns and you do it on repeat, so like you're a factory. But to be an artist, I feel like you've got to come up with your own patterns as per se, and then just keep repeating that over and over again, but maybe different subject matters. So how I found my voice and why my art looks the way it does is it was during COVID, at least a solid year of painting a lot. And I've showed in the past, I have a stack of paintings on paper that is very, very thick. That I would just paint it. Sometimes I liked it, sometimes I didn't. Just throw it aside and start over and paint something else, paint something else, paint something else. I also, in that process, copied a lot of artists. I copied them by either taking their classes, signing up for their memberships, and they would then share their processes. So, I wish I could name all the artists. See, what is interesting about this is those artists that I did this from in the beginning. I am no longer, I've moved on to other artists that I follow and really study. But I took a lot of classes. So this helped me lay the foundation. It helped me with the community figure out what would work best for me. And I feel like it helps speed up the process. So once I found classes and did all that, I also spent many hours studying artists that I liked. Because there's a lot of artists out there that have great work that I love, but that don't offer classes. So the best thing you can do now is just study their work, right? And see what it is that you like about it. Is it their color palette? Is it their subject matter? Is it their markings? So, and I would literally copy them. So I actually have a lot of artwork laying around. These are artworks that I actually copied in the beginning that I never even posted online, or you wouldn't see it. I won't sell it because, I mean, this is a copy. I wish I could remember whose work. I don't. I copied this. See, here's another one. This is totally, I copied somebody. I just don't remember who it is. This one is, her first name is Trisha. Her last name escaping. But if you're familiar with her work, you probably recognize this right away. It's definitely a copy. See, this is from a membership court class that I'm in. This is a copy. So this kind of stuff, though it's great fun for the process, I'm not listing it for sale because it's definitely, I'm copying others' work. But you know what's so great about acrylic and the art supplies I use is this is not, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, that's a waste or whatever, it's wasted and it's copies or whatever. And people get very particular about their art supplies and the cost or whatnot. Acrylic is cheap overall. Paper, even the good stuff, is fairly inexpensive. I'll paint right over this. I do it all the time. Because painting from a white piece of paper is not that fun. I will turn this over and draw it back on and do something completely different, and then it makes it even all the more cooler. So these will all get reused at some point when I feel like I want to do that. So here's just an example of like what I would do. I would just paint over it and then redraw it back on. Anyways, so I have spent a lot of time doing that. Let me see. Imitation is the best form of flattery, but you got to come up with your own style. So by doing that, this is where I discovered like what color palettes I liked, what markings I liked, what just a bunch of things. And the only way you can know this is by doing it yourself and then seeing what it looks like with your touch to it. I will say, like, also when I copy other people's work and I look at then my own version of it, I never like it as much as the original artist. Never. I'm always like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, I'm gonna paint that too. I always despise it, or it doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel authentic. An example of this going around right now is the Chanel perfume bottle. Myriads of artists have painted this Chanel perfume bottle. I refuse because I'm like, oh, it's everywhere. But if you look at a bunch of these Chanel perfume bottles, I could probably pick out exactly which artist painted this subject matter because it's all painted in their own style, but it's the same subject. It's just kind of interesting that that has taken off in the way that it has. Like, I don't know if everybody's wearing Chanel 5, number 5 or whatever. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, I'm just looking over here at my notes to see. All right, so what I discovered in my my journey here is the things that I do love. So, you know, I mean, I know that I love acrylic paint. I know that I love acrylic paint that's in a jar versus a tube or a, you know, even these. So I now know which colors I love. I know how I mix these colors and I love it. I know which paintbrushes I like. I know how I like to hold my paintbrush and also what other tools I use. So I use a lot of modeling paste. I also use things that are not paintbrushes. I have to show you guys the best tool that, oh, I have a light above me. This is actually one of my tools that I lay markings down on my painting. It is a straw that I've cut the end into like a pom-pom. I will literally dip this and then put it onto my painting. So it adds marks to my paintings on every painting that's not paintbrush. Also, I am a big user and lover of Sharpie, a black Sharpie. So a black Sharpie is in almost every single one of my work. And I like the Sharpie on top of the work. I even more so love Sharpie underneath of a couple layers of paint, and it shows through a little bit. For some reason, that lights me up when I see it. I'm like, oh yes, I love that. I like paintings where there's more than just what the eye sees the first time. Like, you glance at it and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And you really have to like come in and take a closer look at it, because there's different layers and things that you don't see right away, but it takes a second to look at it and take it all in. That is my favorite kind of painting. So when that happens with my stuff, I mean, it really, really does light me up. And that's why sometimes I know that that doesn't come through on my pictures, or it would probably come through better on video. I should probably start doing more videos of my work. It's awesome. And this is what makes painting so great. And this is what makes layers so great. So whenever I do something on a first layer and I'm thinking, oh, I never think, oh, this is amazing. Never, because it doesn't have a story built in yet. That's probably why these are both upside down behind me. They're getting ready to get done. So I figure after a while, you know what things you like, you know what you put together, so you make your own. It's like a recipe. You make your own recipe to put together your own paintings. So when somebody walks into an art gallery and you have a piece in one room and a piece in another room, they'll know it's both the same artist, because they're like, oh, I recognize it. So that is what you're trying to come up with, is your own signature flavor, your own signature recipe that you do on every painting, no matter what it is you're painting. And then it just comes together. And with that being said, I definitely have my own style, but it does evolve. So it does change a little bit. So, and I think that's completely normal. And I think it's expected, as long as it's just not like day and night. So there's little differences. Like I no longer really am loving like my big eyes that are brightly colored. I've changed that a little bit recently, and have cut that back, the eye action on some of my characters. But I just wanted to share with you guys that these are the steps I took to find my artist style. And then once I found it, I like it. I just my job now is just to put it out there, and the people who vibe with my style will come my way. And it's actually kind of still shocking and surprising that there's people out there that really like my work. I know, right? It's like wild. So, but I'm here for it. Anyways, hopefully I will come back to you next Friday. You can see I just rolled out of bed. I have to be at work here in a couple hours. I have a bad habit of being like, oh, I have to be at work at 11, so I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing until I have to go to work. And then maybe I'll do art after I get back. That never works out. So I have made a commitment to get into my studio before I go to work. So I'll see you guys next Friday. Ciao.